Good evening and welcome to another Monday Night Live here from Precision Golf in the UK. Hopefully you've recovered from a hot weekend of golf, or cold and windy and blustery weekend of golf at Troon at the Open Championship. What a great winner we had in Xander Schauffele. They nearly manning Justin Rose, but I think all in all a very worthy winner. Great championship golf on the Sunday. The weather certainly was the winner, as was the golf course. I'm not sure there are many Saturday Open Championship golf that have created so much change in the leaderboard. You know, Shane being up in front and then backing off, and then obviously it's all changed on the weekend. What was the lasting memory for you at the Open?
Lasting memory. I think how brilliant it is to see them have to play the conditions and play the course, and not just go, oh, it's this number, it's that club. I think that was a really true. Okay, Saturday was brutal, but a really true Open Championship test where you go, it's not just the wind. You've got a bit of rain. You've got a tough course, and then the all coming off the back nine on Saturday, going, that's the toughest 9 holes I've ever played. And even better, they're whinging about it. They're whinging about hitting clubs in that every club golfer hits every week, and to them that's just not right. So I just thought all around as a tournament, great course, tough conditions, great winner.
Very much so. I think it was a standout performance from Justin Rose, having come through the qualifying. You'd have to say, walking away from the week, that he was beaten. He didn't lose it. It was a toss of a coin on 3 putts that Xander managed to get over. I mean, the way he played 11, the way they both played 11, I mean, that was a real testament to the quality of their form at that time. That's a tough hole. I caddied and coached at the Troon in 2004. That hole is just disgusting. And the way they played it, I actually felt nervous watching them play that on the 11th. Anytime you're staring at a railway track on the tee, for those of you that may or may have not played Prestwick, it's another golf course that has got real intensity about the tee shot.
And that one, we got the view from above, so you could see the fairway. They just see gorse, gorse and a railway line and a howling wind. I think, as you say, a brilliant. I think it's a great all-round tournament, as James said, woking on steroids is what he's termed it. But it is one of those where I think you want to see them tested. I think that's what major championship golf is all about. And this arguably, the truest test is where golf started. I know I'm British, so I'm going to kind of claim that. But Pinehurst, great. But the way the greens are that much more upturned, I think it makes it. A proper shot holds the green here. And back to Justin Rose, 1 bogey on Sunday and it was a lip out. So as you say, I think he was beaten by just the best all-round golfer.
Plenty of golf to come in the world of golf. We've obviously got the Olympics coming up in a couple of weeks' time, which is really exciting. And we've obviously got the last major of the year for the ladies' European Tour and LPGA Tour. And we're very excited to announce that we're going to have Georgia Hall joining us next week on our Monday Night Live, going to share all her insights on the upcoming Olympics, the major championships, and her major win of her very own, the British Open. So that'll be really exciting to get those insights. So do join us next Monday and get those questions coming in. We'll take those early, maybe via email or on the bottom of this live tonight. We want to play some holes. We want to get involved this evening. We want to mix it up. We want to try to really engage you guys and girls. We've got the iPads standing by, so do fire over those questions as much as you can. Simon, obviously, take all the questions on anything equipment based, because I know absolutely nothing when it comes to golf swing and technique. Fire them over to me. Hopefully, for those of you that aren't members of or subscribers to the Good Golf Coaching channel, head over there. And for those Good Golf coaches that aren't subscribers on the Precision Golf channel, do head over and check the Precision Golf website, YouTube channel out, because there's loads of great content there. So what have we got this evening? What have we got set up for us?
Well, we thought we'd start with the hideous tee shot just described.
The 11th hole, joyous.
11th hole. We've got the railway line on the right, and we've got a 20-mile-an-hour wind into off the left.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah,
oh,
just a nice, simple
And of course,
starter.
you've hit 600 or 700 balls.
I just had to check that it was a
Got
couple.
it.
I did think about
Tell you
trying
what.
to show how hard it was to hit it as far right off the first as Justin Thomas did. But I thought that'd be cool.
Well, I think the other one was not Sam Saunders, who am I thinking? Sam Burns, that's it. How far right he hit it.
Well, we might be able to replicate that on this
Yeah,
one.
well, I'm hoping not. I'm hoping not.
Yeah.
We've got young Barney sitting down here. He's dying to get involved. But go on, lead us away. Let's see what you got.
So I think this is, view-wise, I mean, even this might be generous to what they could see. I think there's it's a very, I mean, they don't get the little flag on the right telling them where the hole is.
No.
They just get this bank of, polite word, crud on the right, which you really don't want to go in. And I think the typical thing with this tee shot, if you go left thinking it's safe, then you hit into the stuff the other side of the fairway. So there is just no option but just hit a really good shot.
Not easy, not easy. So we've got lots of questions coming in. Do get them in to us. We will endeavour to answer them all. Peter Kendall. Peter Kendall, let's see you fire one down there and we'll get Peter's question in.
Left centre, that's right. To be honest, I've not got much more than that. But that's... Oh, is it going to carry?
Oh no, that's dead.
Yeah,
that's dead.
Actually, that's a really nice hit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm hoping we're playing golf tomorrow evening, and I'm hoping to see a few of those in the ponds tomorrow. No, as long as you're on my team.
Just the tactical chuck the ball up and keep hold of one ball too long.
Exactly.
So in that one, it's only, was it 3 yards right of where I was aiming?
Yeah.
But because of that wind into, which would normally be an easy carry, that's now dead.
Yeah, see, I've always liked just a toe strike on it and an into.
Oh no, this would be perfect. Yeah.
Into. And out the lefts. So, come on, Stu. Oh,
that was never starting right.
That's got to be good. That.
So that is the exact toe strike Stuart was talking about. So it's geared it, taken the spin off, turned it left.
Beautiful.
And if nothing else, you've now got another driver into the green. Yeah. But something like this, if you come off it even remotely into this kind of wind, that one's got a 30-degree spin axis. But I reckon if you just, I know you're good enough to just block it very slightly.
I'm going to hit fade then this time.
I get a little cheeky fade.
Yeah, it's going to have to have a lot way down the left.
So if you're a fader with the ball in this wind, that's going to, you just nuked it dead straight.
Oh no!
But again, with how tight that is, that's landed short of the fairway.
2 from 2.
So yeah, very tough.
Have another go.
So give it one more.
Let's ask. Yeah, you go on. You hit one. Peter Kendall. Hi guys. I'm going to start needing glasses. Oh my goodness, that's not good news. Peter Kendall.
Forward.
Hi guys. I had a driver built by you. My driver shaft is a Acura FX 140 M3 with a Callaway Rogue Max D head. Could a Callaway Paradigm AI Smoke Max D driver head be fitted to the shaft?
Certainly can. They're both screw on. The AI Smoke Max D is more drawbars. It's one of the most drawbars heads I've seen, but it will be a little bit lower spin as well. But with the Callaway system, that's stayed the same for the last 4 or 5 models, 5 or 6 models. So yeah, as long as the head weight's the same, you keep the swing weight and the balance the same, then yep, you can just screw one head off and screw another head on.
I'm going to get Gary Satterfield off and running on my channel. Always makes me nervous when he...
Tried to make sure I got the face closing on that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Safely aboard.
Nice shot, nice shot. Gary Satterfield, hi guys, how's it going? We are all well here, sir. You almost called it, Stu. I thought Rose was going to pull it off. When you talk about hard sand and more of a digging with the leading edge, are you still releasing the club? You always have to release the club. You're just going to release it less. So absolutely, still releasing the golf club.
I think one thing we haven't mentioned yet is who was right from the score. Who picked the winning score? I think someone said 9 under, didn't they? You said 8.
Oh, did I? Oh, there you go.
But that just shows we know what we're talking about, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. That's pretty. I forgot.
That was quite good. Yeah, I was watching the winning
that.
score going. I hope he gets to 9.
About that.
If he gets to 8 and you get that as well as the winner at Pinehurst, to be really peed off.
Yeah. Chris Johnson, hi fellas. I'm trying out some PXG 0311 tees. Gen 4 irons with sooner or later, we're just going to be talking in hieroglyphics and numbers and all
Klingon.
sorts.
Yeah.
Gen 4 irons with 2022 Elevate Tour shafts, non-VSS. I'm glad you know what this means, Simon.
Yep.
Can't find much info on the shafts, i.e. profile, only the VSS. Any other shafts compared to them? Thank you.
So the Elevate Tour to the Elevate Tour VSS, the only difference is the VSS has a shock absorption down the shaft. So otherwise the shaft's identical. So whatever you can find on the VSS is 100% applicable to the standard Elevate. Elevate Tour is 115 grams, mid to responsive tip. So it swings a lot heavier. The Dynamic Gold Mid would be a similar tip profile in terms of launch, but it swings much more tip heavy. A Modus 115 Nippon wouldn't be wildly dissimilar either, or the 1150. Those would be a couple that would be quite comparable.
Very good, very good. Peter Kendall, as to my first question, can you hit the both driver heads and give your opinion on the pros and cons? Thank you.
I can't hit the older one because we don't have it anymore. We only have the current model. So certainly the pros and cons, the pros of the newer model, a little bit lower spin, but it is more drawbars. So you're certainly going to notice it's one of the most broad drawbars heads I've ever hit. So if you're still missing it a little bit right and a little bit spinny with the original model, I think we said was the Rogue, I think. But the AI Smoke Max will be lower spin and will draw it a little bit more. But unfortunately, I can't do a direct comparison because we don't have the original head.
Andy Corso, evening all. Really enjoyed the Open, proper golf. Thought Lowry would come through given the conditions, but hats off to Xander. Attire is very subdued this evening, autumn on the way. Well, I don't think Simon's fluorescent green trousers are coming across.
They might not be able
to
see them.
Yeah, quite coming across on the camera. As for me, well, I'm just classy.
You're in camouflage, isn't it?
Chris Burgess having a trial of the GT driver next week. Currently have the TSR3, which was fit for me at 9 degrees. Will the GT3 be automatically the one?
Again, now there is an embargo date. I'm not allowed to talk about technical data until, but it's not, I can't quite tell you exactly. I have hit them and I know what the difference is. I can't say it out loud yet. GT3 to TSR3, I play the TSR3 as well. There is a marginal uplift in performance. Is it earth-shattering? No, but it is a slight improvement. They have changed some of the construction of the head, but as soon as I can talk about that, I shall, and we will release a tech video.
Very good indeed. Andrew Homant, hi guys. Good evening, Andrew. Love the lives, glad you like them. Do you often lean towards the same brand in a full bag fit, or do you find that it's better to be brand agnostic to have a better chance of being fit perfectly for your game?
Completely the latter. It's good to have a preference because then, from a fitter's point of view, it does play a part in it. You've got to look forward to using the clubs that you're playing with. We play for fun, so if you have a brand orientation, it's always good to say that at the beginning. However, a good fitter will be able to say, okay, that's a good head, however, and by displaying it in our case, you can say, well, this is better because. So it's always better to be open-minded because you could be doing yourself out of performance by being sort of brand tunnel vision.
Why don't we set up the
driver off the deck? Rosie?
No, I'm not interested.
Okay, right, yeah.
17, long par 3.
17.
That was a toughie, wasn't it? It's a toughie. Driver off the deck.
That was a key shot of the tournament.
Never been an idea. So I love Turtle. Good evening, I love Turtle. Evening, Eric and Ernie. Tad disappointed the rhubarb and custard combo has been retired. Well, we never said it'd been retired, but it might make a reappearance around Christmas time. Given that most hybrids have slight draw bias, thoughts on setup to hit baby fade. Drop it back, hit more down.
There are a couple. Ping have a flatter lie setting that can help, and Titleist do as well. And the Titleist is a little less, if you're playing like a TSR3, that's a little less draw bias, but it's also a lower spin head. So the flatter lie angle option from a setup point of view also can help. Are we doing the wind that they? Are we being hideous with the?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. 214, 30 mile an hour. Are we 30 or we go 25?
25.
25? That's around about the gusts that they had.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Sounds wonderful.
So the rule on wind is for every mile an hour into is 2 yards shorter. So if we're 25 miles an hour, that's 50 yards. That makes it from 214, equivalent of 264.
And just for those playing downwind, it's 1 for 1.
Carry,
So so for 1 mile an hour downwind, you only take off 1 mile an hour or 1 yard of wind.
But you'll probably still make it up on extra run out as well.
Yeah,
but from a carry point of view, it's the key number.
But you only
I'm going to be Tyrrell Hatton-like and refuse to hit driver because that's just not the done thing. But this has got to be. I've got to absolutely pump this one.
He doesn't do himself any favours, Tyrrell, does he?
No, and I honestly thought all of them, even Lowry, having a whinge about it. You know, I think having a whinge about the fact that the course is tough and the conditions are hard, and they should have moved the tees up. Yeah, there are so many amateurs who can't reach par 4s and 2 or have to hit a driver on a par 3. I think sometimes these boys forget how good they've got it, and actually they're lucky to not week in, week out have to play. I mean, if you put your average golfer on a 6,000 yard course and they tee off and hit it 220, 230, you have to put 50% of distance on for the tour players to play the equivalent course. Now they're not playing 8,500, 9,000 yard courses.
But doesn't it show you that humans, at whatever level they're at, so if you go into the bar on a Saturday afternoon and they're all complaining about not being able to reach the green in 2, a tour player that's had the conditions so extreme for the same situation, they're complaining about not being able to reach the green in 2.
Yeah.
So I think you're right to the point that they don't realise how good they've got it, but also it just goes to show that when times are tough, the real human
will whinge.
The real human turns up, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the reality of it. Yeah.
But I think it's great to see them have to play in that every now and then.
I
wouldn't want to see it every single week that tough. But
no. I just worry sometimes that because it's links, did we get the real winner? I think so. I think so, and I think that ultimately is always the result.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, the Open has thrown up some iffy winners over the years, so I think that does sort of lend itself to the R&A thinking, look, let's get the right winner, not.
No, I agree. I thought this week was very interesting how after kind of rounds 1, rounds 2, you saw it as the players who were properly in control of the golf ball, finding their way to the top. Not just, you look at the players that missed the cut, Bryson, Rory, Oberg, all players who got great drivers of the ball, but actually this ended up there. And the moment you do that in these conditions,
Tricky. Tricky.
Right. All of a 3-wood required for this.
Keep those questions coming in. Give us a like and a share.
Oh, I've just chunked it.
That's not going to work.
It's going to take some spin off.
That's not going to quite end up. It's not bad. It's not bad.
I might have to give that one more go.
Give that one another go. Yeah, give that another go.
Yeah. Right.
Give that. Oh, sorry.
So it was quite fun seeing Scheffler's tee shot on the last, just as an amusing side shade.
Dame Laura Davies didn't know what to say, did she?
I was afraid she wanted to, but couldn't on TV.
Yeah.
Right.
That doesn't look too bad. Is it coming back?
Just going left a little.
Bit of a tweaker.
Yeah, but again, it went into that heavily. Any side spin just goes.
This is right up my street. This.
Yeah, it's just where the low spin action is a massive boost.
Yeah, this is right up my street. This. Is it into and out the right?
No, like it's a hair off the left, basically straight into.
Oh yes, that top. Okay, all right.
I didn't want to make it too tough.
No, why not?
Much. Is it going to stay there? Or have you drawn it back? Just stayed out there.
No, it stayed there. I thought I'd turn that one back. I thought that was all right, that.
But again, just amplifies any slight club face angle.
Yeah.
Can make actually a really, that was a really nice to hit shot with very little shot shape, but it looks like you've missed the world with it.
Oh, that wasn't very good. I might get there though.
Good line.
Right, just going to have one more because I think I've got this. It's a tough par 3, huh?
Tough, yeah. Need driver.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on. Come on. No.
That was nice to hit. Yeah. Oh, frozen rope. Not going to get that. I'm going to go there with a trappy little cutty driver. Just as a bit of.
I'm going to need me 3-wood. I'm going to need
So
me
I've
3-wood.
got to. This is quite an interesting. I've got to just play a little baby little drifter.
Gary Satterfield said, "Is Suzanne, which is my sister, for those of you that haven't."
Yeah. So drivers.
You need driver.
Yeah.
Is Suzanne and myself banned from being on here together? Absolutely not. If so, I do understand. She really is a bad influence on me. No, you crack on. My sister is lovely. Oh, you're going little soft driver.
Little soft driver.
Oh, that's.
Oh, I've overfaded it. So I faded it a little bit. Now it's gone.
It's got too much Virginia on it.
Yeah. Difficult.
How many shots is it going to take us
What
to
one
hit
of us
this
to hit
green?
the green? A lot.
It's
a lot. I don't think an hour's long enough.
Come on. I quite fancy that might be on.
It was a good hit. Could hear the hit. Yeah. But that also shows in these conditions, obviously not compared to us, but Scheffler's 3-wood on that hole to about a couple of foot.
Yeah.
Unbelievable shot. Unbelievable golf shot.
It's got Barney's attention.
Yeah. He thinks we're a couple of jokers.
Yeah. What are they doing?
Oh, that's come out low.
That has just come out.
Danger.
Oh, dear me. That's a lot.
It's a bit of gear effect on that one.
Very good.
There we go. There's which one do you want?
Well, I'll ask you the questions.
Have a little catch up.
Yep. Let's see if we can get through a few of these questions for us. So we'll go to Glenn 400. Hi guys, question for Stuart. Loved your video regarding changing club path. How would you start implementing bowing of the wrists through impact? Glenn 400, I've never encouraged bowing the wrists through impact. So that's not one of my videos. So I can't answer that one because I don't like people trying to bow their wrists through strike. Kev T, evening, I have had a right knee replacement 2 years ago and I'm not hitting my woods and hybrids as far as I did, but my irons distance are the same. Are there any routines you can recommend to help? Of creating more speed, is that what the question is there? Distances are the same, routines. You're looking for, so right knee replacement. Well, I mean, flexibility. I mean, if you go on the Titleist TPI website, there is lots of stretches and golf-specific exercises that will definitely send you in the right direction. Or check out some of our content on the Precision Golf YouTube channel. Kate Davey, our strength and conditioning coach, has done quite a few warm-ups on hip mobility, shoulder mobility, and also just a 5-minute TheraBand warm-up routine before you go out on the first tee. So we've got loads of content on our YouTube channel.
I mean, the only thought was it's probably easier to gain the distance back with irons than it is with woods, because with the irons you can go a lighter shaft, but you can deal off the heads, and that takes spin down, takes launch down, and gives you more ball speed. When you get to the woods, the problem is that can ruin the ball flight. So actually, it's easier to maintain and get that distance back with the irons than it might be with the woods. So it could be partly that that whilst club speed might have dropped off, through de-lofting the irons, you can, and a little bit of a faster face than what you had before, you can gain that yardage back. But that option might not be open to you with the woods. So that might be part of why it's harder with the woods than the irons to catch back up.
Very good. Dave Hurley, after 30 years, good evening Dave, of playing fades, I'm starting to hit draws with irons. Will this affect ball flight and land angle hitting into the greens? Depends on your launch angle. but yeah, I mean, if you're hitting a draw, you're effectively reducing launch and you're reducing spin rate. So absolutely.
Yeah, and Dave, historically, we know he's been on the higher side on spin. I know that you battle flight for quite a long time. So what it will do is getting that face squaring through. You're going to take the flare ups in spin, a certain amount of those out rather than kind of coming down and across and opening the face up. That will naturally just drop the top of the flight a little bit for you.
Daniel Winterbottom, hi guys, thanks to your help last weekend. I've ordered the wedges that was checked by you last week. I have an issue with woods. I'm steep. I used to hit behind it. Now I seem to thin. Any tips, should I say? If you are battling with getting too steep, check out a video I did on how to unload the golf club. Again, quite an easy one to do is get the golf club in your left hand and feel how the left hand can stall out and allow that club head to feel like it unloads. This allows the club head to rise up through strike rather than when you pull the handle too long because of a longer club, you then start to hit down. The other option is to get the golf ball a long way forwards in your stance and start to feel like you can collect it a little bit later in the arc. Both of those two things will take away a little bit of steepness. Often the case when you're hitting it to the right or you've got a bit of a fade going, that is the reason why you keep pulling the club to try and make the path go left. So do check your grip first because that's always a biggie. Grip is important to get that right before you start changing other things.
Club-wise, possibly shortening a shaft length as well for consistency of strike. Obviously, you've got to make sure the balance of the club's not negatively affected by that, but that's something that at the top end of the bag, if you're good with the irons and less good with the woods, the shaft length is a lot longer, so that could be where you're finding you're struggling a little bit too.
Very good. Lee Roberts, hi guys. How much of a game would you both need to warrant changing from your gamers to the new GT line? Thanks, Lee.
So I guess there's one caveat to that is that if I were paying, so we are fortunate that if we do occasionally get given equipment by them, but if I was a paying customer coming in, I'd be wanting to see. Well, my current one I changed to and it is working very well. I'd want to see good 5 to 10 yards gain out of it. However, if it was that much better off centre to mitigate misstrikes, then I could be persuaded there. But based on the way the current one's going at the moment, again, if I was paying for it, I don't think there's enough difference in there because it's got to be worth being either a lot straighter or probably for a lot of players pushing a club closer to the green. When you know something and how it works, I think that's worth it a little bit.
I had a driver that was 8 years old. I kept it because A, I don't play, and B, I don't play. So I don't really change equipment much. I'm probably going to stick with these for probably another 10 years before I change them again. So I'm not much of an equipment guy because I don't play as much as I would like to. But I think the point of if you're paying, it's almost like you'd need to see 10 or 12 yards with the driver.
It's got to be value, yeah. And either it's a case of, so my change to TSR3 from an M4 was out the middle, there's 4 or 5 yards in it. But off centre, that was where there was a real gain. And with how good the current clubs are, one model to the next, it's very hard to justify, unless there's a real quantum leap, which is hard to do now. It's hard to justify one model to the next making a change. Generally, even Titleist or TaylorMade now would say they're looking at 3 models back, so a TS series driver or maybe a TSI for someone to upgrade from to the current ones. But more of a difference on the fairway woods than the drivers, that I will say with the Titleist heads. If
you're new to this Monday Night Live, we're here every week, 6 p.m. I want to give you a big scoop on next week. We've got major champion and Olympic competitor Georgia Hall joining us in the studio. Big thanks to Kate for teeing that up. Georgia is one of Kate's clients and very kindly got Georgia to come along for us. So it'd be great to have her here next week. So do come and join us and get your questions in. Either stick them in tonight or get them in nice and early next week because that's going to be a busy show. Stiletto, love your content, chaps. Thank you very much. It goes on to say, I have a Callaway Rogue Max LS in 9 degrees. What would be the best paradigm head to switch into?
if you can get hold of one, and they were very limited, and I think we might have one left, the Triple Diamond Max. Yeah, Triple Diamond Max AI smoke. So I was thinking there was another, because that one is low spin but stable. So what you can find with some of the original Triple Diamonds, like Paradigm Triple Diamond and the AI Smoke Triple Diamond, is they can be a little bit knuckly, a little volatile at the toe. But for something that gives you margin of error and the low spin, the Triple Diamond Max has been really good. It's just a shame they only had 500 heads released for Europe, and we actually ended up getting a few more than we originally allocated, and they just have flown out the door. So that, I would say, is probably the best one as an upgrade, if you can get one.
Doug asks from Good Golf Coaching Channel, hi guys, Stu, tips on how to maintain tempo and rhythm in the heat of battle and with all the added pressure of hazards like trees, strong winds and gorse bushes staring you in the face. It's a good question.
Good question, yeah.
Good question. I would fire one back at you. Standing here right now, how do you quantify your tempo? If you went on the range now, how would you feel it? So not knowing that to start with, you just feel it, is a very difficult place to come from when you've then got things coming in at you. So my advice to you would be go down the range, practice without the heat of battle, get yourself a metronome out and link up a beat to your tempo. Then practice it. And then when you practice it, just like anything in this world, that when you practice it, when pressure comes on you, you're going to be better at it. What sport do people go into a pressurized situation where they haven't practiced something? And where people say, oh, I got a lovely tempo. Well, what is it? And I think when you don't really know what that tempo is and you never go down the range and just practice tempo, and then when you get under pressure, you then lose it, I think you're teeing yourself up for failure. So to think that there's a magic cue to just go, I can remember my tempo when you've got the elements coming into you, because those elements are what helps you survive. It fires up your fight or flight system. So when you are feeling threatened, you are supposed to be ready, move quicker. And unfortunately in golf, that doesn't work out. So my advice to you, go down the range, practice tempo, find a way of working on that tempo, finding that tempo, and a metronome is a good way of doing that, and then go take it out into the golf course and lean on it when you feel pressured.
Pre-shot routine. You watch every of the top players.
I am not a buyer of that.
That side of having some, at least it establishes a pattern.
So pre-shot routine. Rory used a pre-shot routine on that putt on the last, and he didn't hole a putt. Could he have done better? And this is an open question. Could he have done better if he had taken more time, forgot his pre-shot routine and just hit the putt when he was ready like Tiger did? Or was it Brad Faxon saying routine? I don't disagree that routine helps. I think for the average player,
most players don't have any form of routine. They don't have any kind of, and if you're establishing a rhythm, this is tapping a tempo. If you don't have one, then you don't have a tempo. You don't have any kind of, okay, Langer was the extreme opposite end of it. But if you don't have a pattern that you go into, then you don't have an autopilot. And I think that's the kind of thing where when you're in those sort of environments, for me, I think if you've not practiced, and by practice, I mean, it's actually just making sure you're going through it on course in practice rounds rather than and actually doing it on the practice ground as well. It can help. But I think most players don't have any kind of pattern to what they do. I think that hurts you a lot of the time when you're in that situation, because you don't have it's a couple of practice swings, stand behind it, walk into it. It's not in a case of 3-4 steps.
It'd be interesting. I think if you stood on the tee and you played in a 4-ball and you played with whoever it might be, whether they're a complete beginner or maybe not a complete beginner, but someone that's a member of a club that plays fairly regularly, I reckon if you got your stopwatch out, I reckon they would have the same number of practice swings, probably the same cadence, invariably probably the same protocol before they hit their shot. I think it's very rare that you don't see, like Bob with the slice, whoever that Bob with the slice is, couple of swishes in there, whacks it. He's always a quick player. I think a lot of people have a routine, probably that they don't know that they have a routine. Yeah. I think a rhythm sits outside of that routine, because I think rhythm is, right, I've had my routine, I'm stood up to it. And now it's all happened a bit too quick. And I think that's maybe what Doug is but I think you're right in that pre-shot routine can't hurt. But I just think people don't go down the range and say, I'm going to practice my rhythm tonight.
Oh, it's just drag hit, drag hit, drag hit.
Exactly right. So I think it's very difficult to then just say, well, how can I stop getting quick when I'm feeling pressure? It's very difficult.
And that's why we see even these guys do it. They're playing at the Opens and the Majors. They get out of whatever pattern it is that works for them. As you say, the adrenaline's up. Yeah. Don't screw it up, and then it all goes wrong. But I think it's a little bit player to player. I think there are players that it really helps having that kind of
100%.
rigid routine, and others where actually being a bit more freedom.
And that's the art, isn't it, of coaching. You're trying to find something that fits the player, that you've got enough in your tank as a coach to be able to give them options on various topics. Gary fires a question at you, Simon. Be curious to know what got you into the equipment side of golf.
I guess I've always been interested in the kind of the what and the how. So I've always felt when I was playing a lot. I've never been massively techie, but I've always felt if I could understand what was going into something, be it when I was playing fitness, nutrition, the swing, sort of technique side, I just felt if I could understand it, then I could get more out of it. So I've always liked pretty golf clubs, the old Persimmon woods, blades, all that sort of thing. So I've always been interested in it, but I think for me now I'm in it. The bit that really interests me is the lever side of it. It's the logic of, right, if you change this, then that happens. If you change that, that happens. So I think that input-output bit suits just the way my brain works. But I got into it through meeting James and through tinkering around with my own set and understanding it better. And that fueled a fire, I guess.
Very good. Tom Ashmore. Evening, gents. Want to thank Simon for getting my new clubs sent to me in the nick of time. Made golf in Scotland even more enjoyable. Blair Gowrie and Dansterburg Castle were class. Very good.
So when you're shipping something up to Scotland to a venue hoping it arrives in time, it's always a relief when it works.
Very much so. Aruran, I'm not going to go into your surname, my apologies. Pronunciation won't be as good. Amazing content, thank you guys, you're very welcome. Tony, by the way, evening gents, great event on the weekend, best of all the majors in my honest opinion. Couldn't agree more. Could you hit a graphite design VF versus a Ventus 2024 red and blue, please? In a TSR3, different, I know, but there is a reason.
So it's the VF against the new blue and red Ventus.
Yes.
Okay.
We've got a question on TrackMan from Mike T. I tend to be in to out with irons, with draw, but with the driver out to in more fade. I'm not sure why. Well, neither am I. Just joking. More than likely you hit down with your driver. Remember, with a driver, where the ball position is, let me get a couple of golf clubs here. So I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to do exactly the same here. Let's understand with driver, or with an iron, shall I say, when we meet the iron in the centre of our stance, we have a much better opportunity of meeting it from the inside. When we then move the ball forwards in our stance, we then have a much better opportunity of meeting it on the way in. And so because we're meeting it on the way in, and it's a longer lever, we end up pulling it for longer, which leaves the face open, and then because the ball is forwards in our stance, we then swipe across it. So the chances are you've got an open face and you're hitting down. Then when the ball is too far forwards, you then get that out to end path. If you're drawing your irons, which it sounds like you are if you're approaching it from the inside, do yourself a favour and just put the ball a long way forwards. So if that's my ball position, normally with a driver on the left heel, put the ball over here, like outside your left foot. Hit some shots, and what will happen is you'll start to get a few balls bending away to the left, because you're meeting it later in the arc and the club is swinging and unloading, closing the face down. Then what can happen is you'll start to bend it to the left, then aim to the right, and keep going. Keep having lots of bend to the left, get used to it. And then at that point, just shift the ball back to the point where you then get the ball coming out straight. And that would be the process of turning you into a drawer of the golf ball with the driver. But that's only if you're hitting it from the inside with your irons and hitting a draw. And the reason why I say that is because if you are hitting it a draw with an inside path with an iron, it means that you must have a reasonable club face and a reasonable grip. So that would be the course of action that I would get you to do. Hope that makes sense. That was quite long-winded, but hopefully it helped.
It was well choreographed. I had time to.
Yes, well, I thought I could see you.
Well thought out, well thought
mixing.
out. So I'm going to start off with the Tour AD VF. So one of the differences between them, the Tour AD VF, very stable in the lower half, sort of tip stiff, most tip stiff shaft they've ever done, so the most stable feeling one. Then the new 2024 Velocore Plus Blue is very butt stiff, very tip stiff, but actually quite soft in the middle proportionally. And the red is very stable at the top end, but then quite a lot softer in the bottom. So actually three really quite different profiles. So I'll start with the Tour AD. A little low on the face. I might need one
Got
more
a
of that.
lot of questions coming in.
Very, very stable feel. Nasty pull, but very stable feel there, and actually something that's not overly harsh at the top end, but really feels like it holds on. I just need to catch the middle of the club face will help. I made sure I've not gone left there. But.
Remember, we've got Georgia Hall joining us next week. Do stay tuned for that. 6 p.m. every Monday, here live from Precision Golf in the UK, south of the country. If you've not been, check us out online.
So balance-wise, the VF is a little bit more on the tip end as a shaft to swing. So it's on the stronger side in terms of weight-wise, sort of upper 50s, upper 60s, but swings more on the bottom end. The new Velocore Blue 2024 Velocore Plus Blue is more evenly balanced, but a little less heavy proportionally. So again, some more kind of 53, 54, 64, 65 gram. So swings a bit better for me, which is why I hit that better. But actually you get a feel of a bit of kick in the middle and then very stable through impact. So a bit more kick from that shaft.
Mark Tiffany, a big thanks to Simon for my driver fitting. Got my G430 Max through last week and it's like chalk and cheese from the Cobra. Much less dispersion and on course another 15 yards than
fabulous.
In my fitting. Good news.
We all like an extra 15 yards. That's yeah, that was a. I remember that fit. We got some good results from that. So I'm glad that the fit results have shown out on the course. That's brilliant. Thank you, Mark. So the red profile, quite stout under the hands, so it feels quite stable, but you get a bit more kick from the bottom. So actually, spin-wise, the blue Velocore to the VF very similar, but just swung better for me because of the balance point. Again, the red, a little bit more tip balance. You can definitely feel much more kick through the bottom part of this. So that one wants to lay down a little bit more as a transition, but much more kick through the bottom for someone who likes to feel the shaft respond. So that one, the spin's only up 150 revs, but a bit of a higher flight. But that one, much more responsive from a feel point of view, going to be more of a mid-spin shaft and a responsive feedback.
I Love Turtle sets up a GoFundMe to retire rhubarb and custard. Right. Go for your life. Go for your life. Chris Burgess, aka the Yorkshire Blade, have Oban Kyoshi 50 gram S Blue shaft in driver. Is it worth me trying a senior flex with 110 miles an hour?
So the flex on its own, it will make it feel a lot more responsive. So the Kyoshi Blue, that'll be the Kyoshi Tour. If it's the blue one, is a stable shaft. So the stiff in that does play fairly strong, and in principle ties up. If you kind of go traditionally on flexes, ties up pretty well the way your swing speed's at. If you want something more responsive, then it might be the actual profile of shaft, the way it bends, that's going to give you more feedback without having to go too soft on flex. If you go down to an A flex, senior flex, then it could feel like it just moves around a little bit, and depending on how you respond to that, I know for me, I back off it and steer it if I feel the shaft moves too much. For how I like to feel the club and the swing, but that might just feel a little bit strange. So go a softer profile rather than stiffness, I would say.
So we've got another question or another request to test, but we've got to keep cracking on through these questions as we go while you're doing that. Aidan, could you hit the Diamana GT6S against the Diamana TB6S? Is the GT similar to the Ventus Red TR6S profile?
Not dissimilar. It's more like the old Fubuki, would be the way to describe it.
Brandon asks, good evening guys. Good evening, Brandon. Just watching from the warehouse gym across the road and wondering if you have any tips to increase rotational strength in the gym. Thanks in advance. Well, rotation has always been seen as through the middle. Your obliques are inferior or superficial compared to what the legs can do as rotational. But really, leg strength and shoulder strength are really the two biggest ingredients to creating good rotation speed through strike, and obviously a good set of glutes as well to get those buns working and activated. So that would be my recommendation. But anything that includes a bit of dynamic rotation would be a good way to go as well, Brandon. Hopefully that helps. But again, check out the TPI website. That's a very good one. Titleist Performance Institute. That's got a lot of exercises on there, and Paul Check as well. Check Institute is very good for that.
Right, TB first. So TB blue ball profile, very smooth profile, not too harsh in the middle. So yeah, it's a really smooth feeling shaft, just an incredibly inoffensive profile, which is what has been so successful for such a long time. Bit of stability in the handle, bit of stability in the tip, but a real kind of nice energy flow through. The Diamana series are designed around smoothness, so that one's hit nicely.
Okay, so let's answer Mark Griffin while you're just doing that. Odd question for you. Could you tell me what the difference is with balance point is between KBS C-Taper Light 110 versus a DG X100 120 grams?
Well, both, if it's the 120 and the Dynamic Gold, both of them are relatively tip balanced. So the main difference, you've got 10 gram difference. If anything, the Dynamic Gold is maybe slightly more tip balanced than the C-Taper Light. But the C-Taper Light is, say, just that bit lighter, so it's not going to swing quite as heavy, whereas the Dynamic Gold 120, being 10 grams heavier, will swing a lot heavier. So you've got a dead weight change, as well as potentially a bit more tip balanced in the Dynamic Gold.
Give it a whack.
So GT is designed around a little more responsive tip, but slightly more stable torque in terms of from a field point of view. This is one that Justin Thomas used for quite a long time. This was sort of followed on from the ZF. So slightly, didn't hit that quite as well, but slightly tighter feel. I think that's one of the differences. In theory, this shaft launches a hair higher than Blue Board Diamana, but it is a crisper feel to it. So if anything, the Blue Boards are really smooth, potentially mid-launch, mid-spin, but really nice even profile from a field point of view. This one's a tighter, firmer feel, but uses the tip a bit more to get a bit more launch. I just didn't quite hit that as well, so it's low spin, but both great quality shafts.
Papa B, hello young men. I put a lighter weight in my TSR2 driver and went from D4 to D2 swing weight. My start line has shifted from left to more centre. Why would swing weight alter start line? Thank you.
Well, if you've got a lighter shaft, that will also do it. So dead weight affects how kind of in sync your base kind of core body rotation and the main body of the club is. And swing weight is more about where that weight's positioned. So that affects how your release, I guess in principle, the club head release pattern. So therefore your relationship between handle and club head, timing wise, as you're coming into the ball. So both dead weight, total weight, and swing weight will have an effect on your start line. But if you've changed both, then it's hard to know which one it's attributable to. However, if you've gone lighter, the chances are the club's now not behind and you're not then dragging it through and fetching it and starting it left. You can keep the handle more ahead and therefore keep the face from closing too soon and start it more on line.
And just make sure that the strike point hasn't changed, because that will affect your start line with the gearing on the face. Did I just answer that one? No. So Loss St Patrick, hello guys, and thanks for doing this. You're welcome. Steep swing, struggle with fairway woods. Any fairway wood recommendations for steep swing?
So depending on where your spin and launch pattern is, actually things like the TSR3 for a high-speed player who traps it has been very good. Equally speaking, anything where you can put the weight forward. The Cobra, the LS, Dark Speed LS, if you're a high spinner of the ball and a relatively high speed, that's brilliant for stopping the ball ballooning and something that has a little bit of a deeper face. Other one would probably be, let's just think, I mean, again, I was going to say the Stealth Plus, the QI10 LS, or Tour, I think QI10 Tour, sorry. Again, you can slide the weight forward, you can keep that CG forward, which definitely helps spin on a steeper angle of attack.
Got 9 minutes, got to keep him a bit shorter. Evening, fine gentlemen. Irons and fairway woods, good. Driver stinks. Can making a driver inch and a half shorter and possibly heavier swing weight D456 help with contact?
I wouldn't go as heavy as that. If you're shortening it by that much, absolutely shorter shaft length will help, but be very careful going that heavy on swing weight.
Very good. Martin Williams. Hi, could you please hit the Ping G430 Max against the Ping G430 Max 10K in 9 degrees with a TPT 17 low shaft? Thanks.
Right.
Okay. Got to keep moving on these. Brian McAllister, we want to get through all of these questions. Hi, both. Lots of 2 or 3 irons being used at the Open. Shaft options available for medium swing speed seems to be limited. My driver's swing speed is at 95 miles an hour. Iron shafts are Modus 120S. Thoughts on 2 or 3 shafts to suit?
Shaft. That's a very, very hard one to be definite with, because ultimately it depends. Just swing speed alone isn't going to tell. I mean, Modus 120s. So a lot of players will play this. I play the same shaft as my irons in my driving iron, but a lot go lighter. So the Modus in principle might not be too bad, but it could be horrendous. So yeah, tough one to answer that, but probably a little bit lighter. Just got to get an adapter.
The reality is without knowing your dynamics of how you deliver the loft of the golf club, attack angles, face to path angles, so difficult to just pluck out a shaft that's going to optimize that. So understanding what your dynamics are is more important than just swing speed. Michael Mannion, hi, if you were going to renew every club in your bag but do it in stages, would you start with irons or woods? Good question.
If you're struggling with one more than the other, then go with that first. If you're not, then I would tend to go irons first, because that then sets the benchmark for where the bottom end of the woods need to meet them. So from a flight, trajectory point of view, it's easier to understand the bottom end of the woods once you know the top end of the irons.
Very good. Daniel Winterbottom, thanks for your help. I will check out the video on the content on the channel. For my grip, I do tend to have a right hand, bottom hand, more under the grip. Would this encourage the steepness? No, that would encourage a closed club face. But again, you were referring to your driver. Steepness can come from too much shaft lean. That's what I would go with that. David Edwards, evening men. Good evening, David. What is the effect of putting a left-hand driver adapter on a right-hand club? Would a flat setting become upright? Great show as usual. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, it would. So it's always the opposite. So if you go flat, it becomes upright, and if you go more lofted, it becomes less lofted. So whichever setting it's in, it's the opposite from where it would be if it was the right-hand one, if that makes sense.
Brandon Law, when are our clubs ready, Simon? Brandon Law, want to play St George's with us tomorrow. Love Brandon, Brian and Alistair.
Would love to. Yeah, so these are some guys that are over from Hong Kong. So very, very kind of them to come over and see us and play some golf at the same time. And they're playing some great courses. Very jealous of that run of courses.
David Elder, can you show the difference between a PX60 and a PX 6.0 LZ, please.
I mean, difference being they're both the same flex. The LZ stands for loading zones. It's a bit softer through the upper part of the shaft, not quite as hard a shaft, and swings a bit more tip balance, but actually flight-wise, not very dissimilar. I'll see if I can get through this and get to that, but it won't be very different from a flight point of view. So the TBT low swings quite tip heavy, lower spin. This one's 67 grams. This one's the max.
Very good. Ryan Thorpe asks, good evening, gents. As someone who tends to de-loft the club and hold onto the angles, I'm trying to add some release. However, it tends to end in me hitting the ground before the ball when I try to release the club head to the ball. Is there something I'm either doing or not doing that is causing the fat when trying to release?
Definitely maybe.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there, and if I was to answer it, I would be truly guessing. So I'm not even going to go there with that one, unfortunately. Don't miss to
I mean, also
be
there'd
invasive.
be both reasons that you and I could both give from an equipment and a swing point of view that could be correct, but could be miles off. So,
Peter Kendall says, thank you guys. You're welcome, Peter.
Right, this is the 10K.
Great, we've got 4 minutes left.
So, bit spinny with the max, 3-1, but straight.
We've got 2 more questions to get through, so we've done super well.
So this one, that was a higher up the face strike, but this one, the heavier weight at the back, I find, has an effect on how I deliver. The club gets a little more dropped underneath, so it can get me a little bit flippy. But not a great strike, but the max, the 10K max should be a bit lower spin than the standard max. That was a bit lower because of the strike point, but both very good heads.
Andrew Hommant played the TaylorMade TPMC's 2011 version for 13 years. Curious to the idea of a combo set, although we'll defer to your expertise when I get a fit. What is the current version of this sort of iron?
Which head? I missed the base model.
Is this one here, the TPMC's 2011.
TPMC, so I think back to that exact model, there are so many that go through. Now, 2011, was that the one with the muscle in the back, almost like a tezoid? If it was, then there might be an iron launching soon that's quite similar. If it is that one. I mean, the MC's muscle cavity is basically, it's not a million miles off a blade. So it won't be difficult to find something similar. But the newest model coming out shortly, which I can talk about next week, should be good.
Tyler Stuart, do you know which grinds on the other OEMs are similar to the M grind from Vokey?
Yeah, I mean, they all do something pretty similar because that moderate bounce, medium bounce with a tapered back edge is such a versatile grind. So pretty much every single brand will have something quite similar. So I could run through them all, but it's not difficult to find one from the other brands. They all do one.
Ryan Thorpe, appreciate that, chaps. Lesson it is, absolutely. Andrew Hommon, it was the screw version behind the face. And
the screw version behind the face. Okay, yeah. With those ones, I mean, they're the ones that are launching in the next week or so could be quite interesting.
Doug says, thanks for the answer. I thought you might just say, get yourself a good shrink, but I will try the metronome. Shrinks don't work, let me tell you. Not when it comes to golf. Brian McAllister, last one from the channel. Simon, equivalent current suggestion to original whiteboard 70X driver shaft.
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say to the whiteboard that was 73 grams. So, you know what, if it's in a stiff flex, did you say what flex it was? TX?
Driver 70X driver shaft.
If you play the stiff flex in the new whiteboard, that's very similar. The bounce is more in the tip end, which is more like the original whiteboard. If you go to the X flex, the bounce point comes up the shaft a little bit, so that's a bit different. But the current whiteboard in the softer of the flexes is really similar.
Gary Hawkins, hi guys, C6 driver shaft, poor man's Ventus, yes or no?
Not quite, no.
Great. We have got through all of the questions which in at 7 o'clock, which we are super happy about.
Just missed that shaft comparison.
We'll do that next time.
The
shaft comparisons take a bit more time, but we always love doing them. That's all.
But the answer is not a lot of difference. Softer feel. That's going to be the biggest difference.
Listen, thank you so much for tuning in this week. We're really excited to have arguably our first big name in the studio next week in Georgia Hall. We're going to throw as many questions at her and keep her here for as long as we can. But it'll be a great night for you to tune in, and do give your friends a shout, because I think that's going to be a cracker. Not often that you can ask a major champion questions about the game. Busy week as usual.
Very busy week. Yeah.
We've got golf tomorrow.
We've got golf tomorrow.
We might have to stream that live. No,
dear.
we won't really. We won't really. Nobody wants to see a video nasty. Well, we're off to play Perfect Lakes tomorrow evening, hopefully in the sunshine. Loads of golf coming your way. The Olympics, more major championships for the lady. Plenty to talk about, and we look forward to you joining us next week. For Simon and I, thank you so much for being with us, and we'll see you next week, 6 o'clock, Monday.